Hello, one and all. This is my view of My Hero Academia, Chapter 369, A Chain of Events Across the Ages. And right off the bat, there are two things very strange about this first page. First off, this is a war zone, not a gang war, a literal war. This city has been demolished, and there is a sea of corpses at their feet. And yet this battle is written up in no history books. All for One's existence was so dangerous that it was literally erased from history, which has always seemed like a very, very strange detail in this series, but even more so now. This battle took place within the last 200 years. A city was wiped off the map, and nobody knows about it. What kind of authoritarian government are they living in if they could literally erase a city, erase the existence of a city from history? I mean, this happened when the internet was already in existence. That is insane. That is utterly and completely insane. And just, really goes to show that your society is, in fact, really, really bad. But anyway, though, the second thing that caught my eye is that All for One appears to be crying here, which, makes sense. Like I said, there's a sea of corpses. Maybe some of them were important to him. Maybe the second user was important to him. Maybe his own brother died in this fight. But for him to cry, that is weird. That is so utterly, utterly weird. Throughout this series, he's expressed no emotions besides, rage and joy at the suffering of others. He has been soulless and emotionless for as long as we've known him, but I've suspected for a very long time that he wasn't always that way. My theory is that All for One was at one point a kind, decent, good man, but his quirk destroyed him. Basically, it's been confirmed again and again that quirks aren't just, oh, I can shoot fire from my fingers. Awesome. They have wills, they have emotions, they have the knowledge of their users inside them, and All for One's quirk lets him, basically tear out a person's soul and implant it inside himself. And there's gotta be some serious side effects to that. Seriously, that must cause some major damage to his own soul. I think over time, as he collected quirks, he slowly became darker and darker and more evil and more twisted until he became the demon lord we know and love today. Interesting. Very, very interesting. But anyway, though, then we get to see the second user's quirk in action, and it is, not that impressive, as it can only be used on small objects, making it little more than a lackluster pea shooter. Wow, that is one way to describe it. That is one way to describe it. And so, yeah, it was never any sort of threat to All for One, and neither was the second user. And yet, despite this, he still died with a smile on his face. And now that Deku has inherited the power, and it has been multiplied many times over by One for All, and the collective energy within it, it is terrifying. It is an utterly terrifying quirk, as when it is combined with Deku's original strength, it is able to create a literal crater in the ground. Seriously, that is impressive. That is terrifyingly impressive. And, oh god, this next part is my favorite moments in the entire chapter. Shigaraki takes a swing at him, and he misses by a country mile, because not only is Gear Shift able to speed Deku up, it's also able to slow him down to a literal stop. Much to Shigaraki's complete and utter befuddlement. Oh, I love that. I absolutely love that. And then we get to see what Deku can really do with all the quirks of One for All combined together. He used Danger Sense to predict Shigaraki's attack, used Gear Shift to slow himself down to avoid Shigaraki's blow, used Smokescreen to hide himself, used Float to get above Shigaraki, used Black Whip to lift him into the air, and then combined Fajin with Gear Shift with just the raw strength of One for All to deliver a truly, truly powerful blow that did some major damage to Shigaraki. Huzzah! And of course, while all this is happening, the second user has to do this whole rant like, oh, our meta abilities were never what you need to be wary of. Instead, our true power resides within an individual's intent, their willpower. Which, is a nice speech and all, but it is garbage. It is utter and complete garbage. Seriously, the very next page shows all the other pro heroes who were here. They all had very strong willpower. They all had the desire to fight against you. They all had the desire to stop you and were willing to risk their lives to do it. And they are all mostly dead. Obviously Deku has fought really freaking hard to master One for All because his will is so strong and whatnot, but if he didn't actually have that quirk, that insanely, ridiculously overpowered quirk, he would have no place on this battlefield whatsoever. Maybe like an advisor in the shadows giving some advice on the proper strategy to use against him, but yeah, that's about it. So, yeah, certainly willpower is important, but not as much as, raw, actual physical strength. And All For One is even more annoyed by this speech than I am because, yeah, he hasn't actually been able to use his power at all in this freaking fight. I mean, his whole shtick is that he is, the quirk stealer. He has amassed hundreds or thousands of quirks throughout his very, very long life. And because of the stupid UA barrier and Eraserhead, he has not been able to use them at freaking all. So he's annoyed. He is justifiably annoyed. But then things get very, very concerning as 9, balls of light seem to shoot out of his body, which is interesting. I mean, obviously the first connection anyone seems to make is, oh, these are the 9 users of One For All who he's suddenly able to see because the quirks are resonating with one another. Awesome, but I don't actually think that's the case here. I think these 9 lights refer to 9 people picked out by All For One to be blessed with a secondary quirk, and somehow he's going to use all those, new quirks with everyone to find some sort of path to victory. Obviously, the first one is Spinner, who didn't used to be, Godzilla-sized. He's obviously been given a second quirk by All For One so that he can break into a hospital and free Korgiri, who might be the second member of their numbers. And once those two are together, Korgiri can teleport Spinner directly to the UA barrier, take out Eraserhead, and then that'll allow All For One to use all of his quirks, and that'll be bad. That'll be very, very bad. But as for the other 7 users might do, best I can guess is they're just going to cause a whole bunch of chaos and destruction and make Deku panic and rush and make stupid decisions. As for who they might be, Toga is a very obvious one, is number 3. Gigantomachia, oh yeah, he's definitely up to something somewhere, and I'm 100% convinced that he will still, show up before this battle's over. He's number 4. Dobby's kind of interesting because I feel like All For One wouldn't have given him a second quirk because he wouldn't have wanted a second quirk. He wants to prove himself stronger than Shoto and Endeavor with his own power, not with the power that was given to him by someone else. So, yeah, that's interesting right there. I'm not really sure about Dabi. We still have like 5 left, so other members of the Paranormal Liberation Army, I suppose. Other members of the Nomu, that would make some sense, I guess. I do not know. These 9 lights are weird. They are very, very weird. I mean, like I said, they might just represent the 9 users of One For All, but I think that's too simple. I think it means something more than that, honestly. I mean, for one thing, we still need to see the rest of the fights going on in the outside world. A lot of people seem to assume, oh, this series is almost over, it'll be done like the next 10, 15 chapters, and it's just going to be focused on Deku versus Shigaraki, and we're not going to see anything else. And like I said before, that's utterly and completely insane. There is no way Horikoshi would do that, especially because, Toga is a very popular character, Uraka is a very popular character, Froppy is an incredibly popular character. People want to see that battle. People very badly want to see that battle. Spinner, he's trying to break in the hospital to save Korgiri. That's definitely going to be at least chapter 2 itself. I mean, All For One, the actual body of All For One, is still fighting freaking Endeavor out there. That's going to be an insane battle, an utterly, completely insane battle. Gigantomachia, I mean, I'm utterly convinced that he's still going to join the fight because, he's such a powerhouse. And I am absolutely convinced that Gigantomachia is in fact Crimson Riot, the inspiration for Red Riot. And that's going to be such an amazing reveal and such a heartbreaking battle that I so badly want to see. So yeah, I don't think this series is anywhere close to being done. Though something I should probably mention that, Horikoshi said, oh, this series will be done, by the end of this year, as in this year right here, which is concerning because that's, 2.5 months away. That's like 10 chapters of the series, and yeah, I don't see it happening. I truly, honestly don't see that happening. Horikoshi did actually say recently that he's considering expanding the series a bit, which would make so much more sense because, yeah, that would be way too rushed. That would be way too stupidly rushed to try and finish all of this in 10 chapters. I just would hate that. I would utterly and completely hate that. As would pretty much every single fan of the series. But please let me know what you think down below. How much longer will this fight go on? What's going to happen next? What do those 9 lights represent? Why do you think All For One was crying back then? Do you think All For One was more human back then? He's become more cold and emotionless over time. What do you think of Deku combining, all of his quirks together to do some serious damage to All For One? I mean, I love seeing Deku combine all of his quirks together to deliver this ultimate powerful blow against Shigaraki. Oh, that was beautiful. That was so beautiful. But let me know what you think down below, and until next time, peace!